I deeply appreciate you waiting on me to make that point. Peter Coffin, he is a
Oh,
journalist.
no, I was having sound issues. So.
Oh, fair enough. But Peter Coffin, he's a journalist with over 250,000 YouTube subscribers, podcaster, and author. In this book, Custom Reality and You, explore a world where profit is the driving force. He also has a new book and I can see the cover, but I don't remember the name. It's about so far to the left that you end up on the right. It's Horseshoe Theory.
Horseshoe theory is right, but not how you think.
That's it. Horseshoe Theory is right, but not how you think. How you doing, Peter? You doing okay this morning?
I'm doing great this morning. How about yourself?
I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm here. I can't complain. I can complain, but I'm not going to complain. No, I'm glad to have you, man. I want to talk about Democrats again for the government shutdown. I had this conversation with Margaret. I want to have this conversation with you because different people have different points of view. Chuck Schumer, who positioned himself as saying, I'm not going to accept this continuing resolution. Damn it, if we need to shut the government down, we'll shut the government down. I'm not going to take it. I'm not going to take it. He had all of these Democrats backing him saying, yeah, Chuck, shut it down. Chuck. Don't accept this continuing resolution. F Donald Trump. We're not going to accept this. Shut it down. Now, this is different, right? Democrats typically believe in keeping the government open. It's in their ethos to do it. Republicans, less so. So it is an interesting position for Chuck Schumer to be that strong on the issue of shutting the government down. All right. Fast forward. You get this statement coming out of Chuck Schumer that I want to get your take on.
This week, Democrats offered a sensible way out. Fund the government for another month to give appropriators more time to do their jobs. Republicans rejected this proposal outright. Why did they reject it? Because Donald Trump doesn't want the appropriators to do their job. He wants full control over government spending. He isn't the first president who want this, but he's the first president to cower his party into submission so that Republican rejection leads us to a decision. That Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision, it's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse.
Complete, utter, outright capitulation. That's what that speech is. Complete, outright, and utter capitulation. We can't do it. We can't go off the cliff. We must pass this bill because the shutdown is worse. Now, to be fair to Chuck, he could be right. The reality of it is there are unforeseen consequences to shutdown. What if you're blamed? What if you're blamed, right? What if the public says, okay, well, Democrats did this, not Republicans? What if you can't get it restarted? Meaning you don't get anything and you shut it down, right? Like what if at the end of it, Trump just says, all right, let it stay shut. Let it stay shut.
All right, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. I'll move money around the way I want to move the money around. And Democrats are like, okay, but we want a month continuing resolution. Okay, you're not going to get it. Now what? So, like, he's not entirely wrong. I guess my issue with this is Schumer ran with this idea for more than a week that we're going to shut it down. We don't accept the continuing resolution. We don't like this. We don't like this. You had all of these other Democrats backing him on to shut it down. AOC, shut it down. Bernie Sanders, shut it down. All of these Democrats. And Chuck led them all the way out to the last step of the plank and then relented and capitulated. His back folded onto itself and then folded one more time. He caved massively. And the reason, according to the reporting, for why he did this is because he was getting so much pressure from either liberal groups, from other Democrats, they're saying, go out and do something. And so what he decided was the thing that I'm going to do, show that I'm fighting, is I'm going to pretend to shut the government down. Now, behind the scenes, all of the communication was, we can't do this, we can't do this, this is a horrible idea, this is bad, we're going to shut it down. This is a horrible idea. Okay, what the hell is this? What the hell is this? Chuck Schumer needs to resign.
Yeah,
Chuck Schumer
well,
needs to
that's, I mean, that's,
by the
you're
way, I'm not
100%
saying
right
shut the
about
government
that.
down. I'm just saying this is a stupid way to go about it when ultimately you were going to get the hit either way.
Yeah.
Why postpone it like this and give up all of these hopes of these Democrats? Now, it's weird for me to say that they hope to shut the government down. It sounds bizarre. Chuck Schumer needs to resign. What are your thoughts?
Yes. Well, obviously, yes. There are a million reasons Chuck Schumer should resign. This is the next in a long line of them. But as far as I'm concerned, when I think about just this situation, compress it down. You can't threaten things and then go back on the threat.
Yes.
You look weak. You sound like you're not willing to follow through on the stuff. It looks bad. Like, it's just, you can't say you're a leader if like you're stop, start, jump, go, blah, 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 back and forth. Waffling is not leadership material. And therefore, if we're talking about, who should be the leader, again, this is the next in a long line of things. It just showed Chuck Schumer to be completely like, why do these people think that they're losing so much? Why do they think that? Like, it's because their strategy is bad. They don't try to appeal to anyone, like anyone. Like, that's the other, like, the groups that they traditionally try to appeal to have been slowly migrating away from them. I don't know. It seems like such a self-explanatory thing. He should not be the leader. He has presided over loss after loss. People don't care. This is insane. You can't threaten stuff and go back on it. Like, otherwise you prove that you're not willing to use any leverage that you have, and therefore it doesn't matter if you have power, you won't use it. Not that he has that much right now anyway.
Yeah. What was it? I think it was the originals. I love Vampire Diaries originals. There's a line I think that Klaus said is like, I think it was Klaus, I could be wrong. It was like, if you make a threat and you don't follow through, nobody takes you seriously. Like, meaning you can't threaten anybody else because nobody's going to take you seriously with your threat if you don't follow through with the threat. It's not, and again, I want to make it clear, it's not that I'm saying they should shut the government down. That's not really my argument. My argument is more so, why lead them out this far only to have to walk them back? And you can't walk them back. So, I mean, Axios is reporting that some Democrats are talking about basically, rage without the capability of doing anything about the rage. They said shutdown would give Donald Trump the keys to the city, the state, and the country. This is what Schumer said. And right here, it says all but one Democrat voted against the bill earlier this week, in part because it lacks language to keep the Trump administration from cutting congressionally approved spending. Basically, what their issue with the continuing resolution is, this is going to lock in levels going forward. And not just lock in levels going forward. Donald Trump is effectively going to get a free hand to decide how money is moved and shifted around. Democrats are like, this is outrageous. We don't want this. To make this even worse, right here, it says there are too many battleground Democrats in the House. They were uncomfortable, semi-comfortable with the vote. So one Democrat, the Senate left the House at the altar. The Senate left the House at the altar. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and remarks to House colleagues at their annual retreat. Oh, that's nice. At their annual retreat on Thursday. Lauded it for standing up to President Trump while voting against the bill, according to multiple sources. When he praised House Democrats' vote, he received a standing ovation. When he mentioned Senate Democrats, the members booed. The members booed. That is the best that they can do. That is, the culmination of their rage shown through booing, because you can't do anything politically about it.
We need to use a different definition of annual retreat here, I think.
That sounds horrible, right?
Yearly
it's like Democrats were
surrender.
at an annual retreat.
Their yearly surrender.
Yeah. Right. This is so bad.
This is a clusterfuck. Like, this is such
It is. It is. It looks horrible. And I guess my thing is, are Democrats going to appropriate the blame where the blame belongs? At their party. At their
They're
party.
Why would they do that? Like, have they ever had their slice of humble pie in the past? Like, they lost what could have been an easy election if they had just tried at all with the working class. And when I say the working class, I don't even mean like white men or any, like a lot of people mean white men when they say that. I think that they just didn't try with anybody who has a job, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And by
as
the way,
much
they
as
lost
like,
those voters. They
what's
lost those
that?
voters in the election. They lost those voters. The
Oh,
working
they did,
class ended up going to
absolutely.
Republicans.
Well, and stuff like that McDonald's thing and showing up with the trash truck and all that stuff, it signaled to those people, even if he's not necessarily delivering on any of that, they haven't learned the lesson. You need to say something to the people who keep this country running, like people who work at McDonald's, people who pick up the trash, blah, blah, blah. You can't take a dump on those people. They didn't learn that lesson, and that's an easy lesson. This is an intermediate lesson. And
Yeah.
I just don't see them learning. It's sad.
I want to get your take on something. I am super curious about no tax on tips. Now, Trump during the election was like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to pass no tax on tips. And I thought to myself, that should have been a Democratic policy. If you think about it, like I get Republicans have an issue with taxes, right? Fair enough. But usually their issue is taxes for the rich, like tax for everybody else. I mean,
Yeah. In fact,
the
no tax
notion-
on tips is an easy layup in
Yes,
terms
it
of
is.
taxing the rich. You say, we're going to take the burden off people who do the work of keeping food in our mouths, and
Yes.
we're going to tax the rich. It's an easy like win, you know? At
Right.
least campaigning on it, even if not passing it.
But see, I think he wants to pass it. Like,
Yeah.
I get the sense that he actually wants to pass it. Now, if that passes, and you're talking about, if I'm a waiter and I make $50K a year, and my job pays me $250 an hour to do the job, because some people may not know this, but as a waiter, you can make under minimum wage, like as an official payment from the restaurant, and the rest of the money comes in tips. You may not make even enough to pay taxes, and yet you're bringing in $50K a year. Okay, what does that guy think going forward? Is that guy a Republican now? Because that money is now in his pocket. He knows that money is in his pocket, and he knows Donald Trump effectively put that money in his pocket. What about people on YouTube? Like, everybody
we talked about this last time. You brought that up, and I was like, the calculation stopped for me right there. I'm like, oh, wait, this affects me.
But that's my point, Peter. That is precisely my point. It's one thing for a Republican to say, I am going to give a tax break to the rich. Okay, we don't care about that. In fact, we're probably going to be against it. When he says, I'm going to give a tax break to the poor and to the middle class all across the country, where the majority works in service jobs where they get tips, what does that do to the Democratic Party, who is in shambles, who in their own conception of themselves know they're in shambles, who have no political opposition in real terms to Trump, and they're just waiting for him to fall over himself? What does that do? Like, and are we seeing, I guess what I'm asking in real terms, are we seeing a reshuffling of the political space where Republicans are reaching out to working class voters in the context to which they understand reaching out to working class voters is taxes? That is our thing, right? Taxes. Okay, well, what if we give the workers a tax break? What if we give the poor a tax break? Does that make those people more likely to vote Republican? I'm fascinated by that because it seems like it's a polarity shift.
To me, it seems like it does. I don't know how. Like I said, even if you didn't pass it, even if you just campaigned on it, that's so much more than the Democrats tried to do that materially changes anyone's life. And that's the thing. When you, even if you're like, so Bernie Sanders, we can, I think, agree is a massive disappointment now. But when Bernie Sanders campaigned, and he campaigned on Medicare for all, something that would materially affect every person in the United States, that resonated with people, lots of people, not any one group either. Like he won Nevada on the strength of Hispanic voters. Like it was something like 50% of the votes that he got were Hispanic voters, which is absolutely nuts. When you consider how traditionally people vote for the establishment candidates in these types of things. And it's not necessarily because they prefer the establishment candidates, that's who they think has the chance to win, so they vote for that person. There's a reason why people care about stuff that materially affects. I feel like I'm saying something that's so incredibly simple. It's just like if something changes your life, even in a small way that makes your life easier, that's already more than the other people have done.
Yes.
It doesn't even have to be a lot. If it's anything.
And Democrats don't get it.
They don't.
Like, I don't know why they don't get that. Like meaning, look, if you put money in my pocket, I'm going to appreciate the fact that you put money in my pocket.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the $300 for kids, whether it's all of the money that I get in tips on YouTube I can keep, whether it's whatever that is, right?
Oh man.
Yeah. Or the Uber driver, all of the tips they get to keep. Or the that is astonishing, right? And you're not talking about a little bit of change. You might be talking about $20,000, $30,000 that they're effectively saying you can keep. Now the catch is, are they going to pass it? If they pass it, oh my God, will they do it? Now I think the problem that they're going to have is, we also want to destroy Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, which then loses everybody.
Yeah, that's definitely a big problem, and I think they have run up against a lot of resistance with that already, even with their own people. I've seen a lot of MAGA people who are like, no, none of that.
Yeah,
we
didn't
got you in not for that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. They have to. Here's the big problem: if they do pass tax for tips, where does the money that would have come in from that tax revenue, where does it come from? Because I don't care if they cut Social Security and Medicaid. That's not the most money they're spending. They spend more money in plenty of other places than either of those programs, which is insane because those are huge programs. But like the U.S. military or and various things, U.S. military is what comes to mind. Where does the money come from? Because the tax for tips is a large part of the tax revenue. It is not, like, to be clear, it does represent a problem if they pass it, as much as it represents a big win for people like yourself and myself and people who work in Uber and DoorDash and people who do gig economy work. Because frankly, gig economy people are screwed heavily by tax for tips because tips is kind of where your real income comes from there. Like, you do a delivery with DoorDash and you get a tip of $4. You do 2 deliveries in an hour. That's like your hourly wage for real. You do get paid for the delivery, of course, but that's where the real money comes from. And same goes with waitresses and waiters, et cetera, et cetera. The way I see it, it represents quite a problem, but also politically speaking, whoever does that, it kind of doesn't matter what the problem it creates is, because it puts an infinite amount of cachet in their corner, as far as I'm concerned. There's like, because so many people work in the gig economy now. We don't live in, like, for instance, Starbucks baristas are in the gig economy now in a certain ways because they do tips. Like their service is not making you coffee, it's smiling and making you feel welcome at Starbucks. That's their actual job. Their on paper job is making coffee, and they get paid a wage for that. But you tip them if you're like, oh, that person was quite pleasant, blah blah blah. That's their real job, and that's where the real money comes from. Ultimately, but if you're taking a large portion of that, it's a lot of money. Suddenly, these Starbucks workers who are protesting for progressive causes and against Trump, suddenly they're like, am I a conservative? That's what I seriously see that being something that a bunch of people entertain, because, to be frank, that is a huge section of the economy now who is automatically screwed over by, to be frank, it's harder to pay taxes on tips because you're not having that withheld like employment income. It's stuff that, like, if you needed that money this month, it's gone. That's the problem with that. And I've been there a lot of times because over the last decade, I've done way more work that I get that I either do 1099s for or it counts as tips. And to be frank, that stuff. Well, man, it's hard to pay that tax.
Don't reveal something illegal, Peter. Don't say
No,
something
I
illegal
pay
on
it.
there.
I pay it. No. I pay it. I'm saying it's difficult to pay it. Sometimes it takes a couple of
Right.
months to pay it.
Yes, because that money may be needed, right? It's
Yeah.
not just taken out of your check. No, I agree with you. I don't care what the problem is with it. Like, meaning, I don't care.
No, I
Like,
kind of
if they
don't
do
care
it,
either. I would prefer
yeah,
that they.
if it costs $5 trillion, I don't care. I'll be honest with you, and it put me in the mindset of Republicans in a weird way. Not agreeing with them. It's not that, but when they are thinking in the sense of, I don't care if this tax cut that Trump is going to pass is going to cost $5 trillion. I'm rich. I want more money. And if he's going to do it, I'm going to accept it. Okay, but I think the situation is a bit different, though. It's like, it's one thing if you're poor or middle class and he's passing a tax cut and putting money in your pocket. Okay, well, that's different than putting money in the hand of somebody who already is a billionaire or has $1 million several times over. Those are very different realities.
Absolutely.
If I was a Republican in Congress, I would leave Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid alone, and I'd do that. And I would make a pitch for the working class. That's what I would do. Because for me, okay, I can come back to these later. I need to get these people on my side first and foremost, and I can undercut the Democratic Party by effectively doing what will a Democrat. It's a Republican approach to getting a Democratic voter, if that makes sense. Because that's the way I look at it. A Republican approach to getting a Democratic voter. And
Like
the Democrats aren't careful.
Wait till you see the Starbucks baristas with MAGA hats. It's just going to be. Wait till you see it.
Wow.
Can you imagine that?
They are foolish for going after Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. They are just
That's going to be a big issue if they do that.
Yeah. I mean, they're giving Democrats a check. Focus on working class. You got Vance in there. Vance often talks about the working class, focus on the working class. And you would get farther on this. And you could cripple the Democratic Party going forward for a generation. Like, they are missing their chance. And I thought that, and I'm going to let you after this. I honestly thought that about the first Trump term, that Trump wasn't beholden to anybody. He could do whatever he wants. He could do some lefty stuff. He could do some stuff to the right. And he could split the opposition. And he's kind of doing it now. On the issue of Ukraine, for example, real lefties want this war to be over with. They're anti-war. They're like, if he's going to end it, great. Liberals, not so much. The majority of the American public wants the war to be over with. So liberals are out of alignment with where the public is on this issue. The problem for Trump is that Elon Musk is there. I would wager that the public doesn't like him, or at the very least what he's doing. Nate Silver has just come out with polling showing that Trump's polling over the course of the week has dropped because you're getting the stock market to drop. People are freaked out about what he's doing with this tariff war around the globe. And people are like, okay, we didn't vote for this. We voted for a strong economy, and you're effectively wrecking the economy. I don't know. They think about this stuff differently than I do. I guess I think about this stuff in the sense of, how can I get more political power? And how can I do that? Oh, I can do that by effectively getting the working class on my side. Okay, how do I do that? I do that by A, not destroying social safety net, A, and B, doing something that is a bone to a group that the Democratic Party has fundamentally ignored. I don't know. I think about this stuff differently. Peter, I'm going to give you the last word on this.
You got a scale here. You got on one hand the tip stuff. I think it's a no-brainer. If they pass that, they've got as long as they don't screw up, they've got everybody sort of eaten out of their hand. On the other hand, cutting Medicare and Social Security, that's the screwing up. Like if you do that, it counteracts the other thing. I don't know. I don't know what the calculus is right now. It feels like they're kind of almost moving randomly at the moment.
They're Republicans.
Yeah.
This is what they believe in. Like I don't know why people are shocked that they're doing Republican things.
No, it's not shocking. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's what Republicans do. They don't believe in government in that way. And so when they get the opportunity, and it's not like a Bush Republican where they're like, okay, we're going to do this in a tepid way because we don't. He's like, no, we're just going to put an axe to it. That's what we're doing. We're putting an axe to it. What are you going to do to stop me? Oh, you can't do anything to stop me because you don't have the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, or the presidency? Sucks for you. Sad day. This is what we're doing. The question is, will there be a backlash? And as someone pointed out to me, unfortunately, they pointed out, look, cutting workers of Social Security will not be enough to get an uprising to defend Social Security. People expect delays. They've grown accustomed to it. This is America. Things will work well. And as they've grown accustomed to it, to get rid of all of these workers and Social Security say, hey, your notice or your check is going to be delayed. Your admittance to Social Security will be delayed by several months because of the people that have been fired from the job. They made the argument the American public will accept that because that's what they're used to. I can't say they're wrong. And it sucks. Peter, it's like, yeah, I agree. Everything you just said there.
I wish I could say something that counteracts any.
I was hoping you were going to give me a counter argument to that to make me feel better, but I'm not going to give a counter.
It's just kind of like, looks like you're spitting the truth this morning.
That sucks so bad. It's like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. We're going to take that hit. That's going to be a hit that we take. That sucks because I don't have this expectation that Democrats are later going to come back and say, okay, now we need to fight for Social Security. I don't get that sense. I get the sense of it's just going to ride as is going forward.
I feel they're just incompetent at this point. That's the most I can give them. Like, they don't know what to do at any given time. They've changed directions all the time. It's just the Democrats look dumb. It's just they look dumb.
Why? The question is why? Like, if I'm playing chess and I have, like, it gives me an objective, it gives me a point of view that I operate from. And in that point of view, I make moves based upon what I'm trying to accomplish as larger objectives. It's the larger context that's in mind that informs what I do. Why are they random? Why are they random? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how are you a random?
Best I can figure is donors. Like, that's the best I can figure. I feel like they act in the interests of a very small number of people that you and we don't think like. That's the best I can figure.
I think to myself, my mom always said she never wanted me to be a lawyer. She said, lawyers are liars. I don't want you to be a lawyer or a politician. They lie for a living. I don't want you to do it. And I think to myself, if I was in a political space and I needed to get elected, and I know that 90% of the money is the side that wins 90% of the time is by the side that gets the most cash. That means in order for me to get elected, even if I have the best of ideas, even if I have things that I want to accomplish, I'm still me. And I say, okay, so I need to take money. And then I say, okay, well, who's going to give me the money? And these people say, we're going to give you money. And they say, what do you believe in? Medicare for all. I want to expand Social Security. I want $15 minimum wage. And I said, whoa. That's a lot there, buddy. I don't want the increase in minimum wage because I have a business. I don't want to have to pay my workers $20 an hour. So I can't really give you money for that. And I can't really give you money for Medicare for all unless you can find a way to do it that doesn't affect me in any real way. Now, I may make the argument to them like, look, you're paying for healthcare. And that is a bill that would no longer be on your back as a business that would allow you to compete better with other countries, other companies, et cetera, et cetera. We can bring it to a government level, meaning I can make that argument to them. And they can still say, yeah, but you're raising my taxes to do that. So I don't even feel comfortable with that. So then I say, okay, what can I get accomplished that doesn't piss these people off? And now you're doing crumbs when you got into this for this big stuff. It's like, I keep thinking, is that what they're functioning under? And would I function in the same way if I was in a political space? I don't have an answer to that.
I would be killed.
You'd be killed.
I would just be killed. Like, I straight up, I'm never going to run for anything because I would be assassinated. I would make a lot of people very angry very quickly.
You would try to. You would try to.
Yeah.
How do you get elected?
Like, direct superiors would be mad at me.
But how do you get elected? How do you even get into the space?
I don't know how I would get elected. That probably wouldn't happen.
It weeds people out.
Yeah.
It weeds people out. Peter, always appreciate you, my man. Peter Coffin, he's a journalist with over 250,000 YouTube subscribers, a podcaster, and an author. In the book, Custom Reality and You, they explore reality where profit is a driving force. Peter, where can people find you and name your books for the audience?
Well, my most recent long form book is Woke Ouroboros, Segregation and Essentialism. You can find that as well as a lot of books, short and long, on Amazon if you search my name. Also, youtube.com/Peter, youtube.com/ either very important documentaries or important D's, which I think it's a funny little, I think that's a funny abbreviation. I'm not going to explain why. I started thinking, how do I explain why that's funny? Nah, maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, I do a series called Very Important Documentaries on YouTube, and I also do youtube.com/Peter. Just kind of, I stream, I talk, etc., etc.
Badass, man. Always appreciate you, Peter. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
You be safe. Have a good one, man.
You too. You too.